We have Kunal Bothra as well as Deven Choksey joining us on the show to talk about that. And Kunal, great day coming in for the markets. We're only building on to gains, and hopefully we should shut shop around that 22,800 mark.
Well, absolutely, yes, Cheryl. And I think, for example, in the morning I called that this could be a breakout day for the indices, both for the Nifty as well as for the Bank Nifty. And I strongly believe that such kind of price action move, generally earmark the indication that the trends could probably have reversed, at least from a short-term view. And the prime reason for that was, when the markets was selling off in the last couple of weeks specifically, there was a down gap which was created. That gap was around the 22,700 mark as a resistance. Now, when the indices open with a gap up and it tries to break the previous down gap on a positive note, that generally indicates that it's a strong breakout day for the indices where the trends reverse for the index over the near term. Now we are looking at a point where the index should be able to retest the 50 DMA at least over the very near term. That should propel the index back again above the 23,000 mark. So which means we should be seeing a further leg of up move for the indices even over the next couple of days, and I would anticipate that 23,000 mark should be breached potentially in the next couple of days itself.
Deven, we are almost on our way to a 1,000-point recovery on the index from the lows. How believable and sustainable is it looking to you?
Yeah, Aisha, good afternoon. Well, I think the question should be asked, I think, why it should sustain. I think the most important part, technically, market has been in an oversold situation for a long period of time. And that oversold situation was continuing largely because of the constant selling by the FPIs. Now, the selling of the FPI has muted, it has come down to a greater extent, largely also with the fact that the currency is also not depreciating now. On the contrary, I think it is showing some signs of stability because even the current account deficit situation is working in favor of India currently. So, all in all, put together, I think currency is stabilizing, which is stopping FIs from selling. And at the same time, I think the short covering led rally, which we are currently experiencing, is driving the market indices up today. In my viewpoint, I think if the recovery matrix has to be studied further, I believe that whenever the market has made panic bottom in past, in following 3 months to 9 months or 12 months time, the market, some of the stocks would give a very smart recovery as high as 70 to 80%, I think, and as low as I think 25 to 30% in most of the cases. So should that particular trade hold this time around, then somewhere I think the 21,800, 21,900 kind of a level which Nifty saw in a few days back, I think market should have a recovery back to 24,200, 24,800 kind of levels.
Right. So hopefully we should be able to see those levels very sometime soon. And given the fact that now you're also seeing the rupee also strengthen, remember that the rupee on an intraday basis today has actually hit a highest level in a month. So that one also is having its positive impact. Deven, I wanted to understand what's your take coming in on the metal space as a sector that one should watch out for. Do you think that this one will be able to build on to gains among the top sectoral gainers in trade today as well?
The reason to remain bullish are two. One, the energy cost is remaining under control. It is remaining low because of the lower crude oil prices. So that is a good omen for the margin for the metal commodity companies. On the other side, with the prospects of peace entering into the war-affected zones, suggesting that sooner there will be a reconstruction demand coming up from those countries. And given that kind of a possibility in following 6 to 9 months, I believe that I think the metal commodity demand will increase. So on one side, the top line, on the other side, the bottom line, both increases. And that's a sweet combination. Should that happen, then probably I think we are in for a smart recovery-led rally in metal stocks. Maybe it's a beginning at this point of time.
Interesting. Okay, that's the take coming in on metals. Let's analyze some of the movers today. And you are seeing a good move on M&M. That's, of course, showing leadership and, in fact, leading the charge on the index. But Tata Motors as well has seen quite a strong rebound. Other than that, there's Hero MotoCorp as well. Kunal, we've talked about this, all through the market decline as to how M&M clearly had the leadership signs. Tata Motors took a hit. And, of course, two-wheelers was a different story altogether. If this market recovery is going to be sustainable, how do you see the composition of the Nifty Auto Index?
Yeah, I think there should be a mix of price action which should happen on both the leaders as well as the underperformers. And I'm talking of this specifically in the last 3 to 6 months, where M&M has managed to stand out quite strongly as compared to the other peers. So I believe that what happens initially is that when the market gets into a zone of confidence again, the most underperforming sectors, I think in this case it's auto and FMCG. So for example, from the auto pack, I would believe that the larger cap names are the ones which have been most strong. They initially lead up the charge for the auto index, and then there is a strong wave of outperformance which comes back into the underperforming names. That happens by legs of short covering or that steep mean reversion, where these stocks have been divergent from their individual longer term moving averages. So I think that plays its part for these kind of stocks. But on the near term basis, I would believe that the higher return potential generally gets generated into these underperforming names. So which means that there could be a high potential trade over here, that the likes of Tata Motors, Bajaj Auto, to a larger extent even Hero MotoCorp. I think these are the stocks which can probably rally by another 5 to 10% if the entire market setup improves over the next couple of days also.
Are near the day's highest point, where you have the Nifty now testing 22,800 mark. Remember that we surpassed 22,700 for the first time in 3 weeks today. Nifty Bank, that one is stealing the show actually, with gains of upwards of about 1.8% or so. That is okay, 1.7% uptick coming in for a Nifty Bank. Kunal, Nifty Bank definitely stealing the show in today's trading session. But do you think that this is the way how it is going to be? We should be prepared, irrespective of what everyone's saying. Yes, banks will lead the way forward.
Yeah, for a change, I think consensus this time around can work, because I think what's working in favor for the markets, and especially for the banking index, is the heavyweight private sector banking names. So it's the larger cap stocks which have been looking very strong in the last many weeks of the price action for themselves. I think that's a change which you're seeing for the market texture. And then when we look at this in terms of the relative strength as well as the performance of these stocks or the correlation of these stocks when market moves up higher, that generally is a very strong indication. Add to the fact that the next heavyweighted sector, or the top two sectors, the Nifty IT index is showing signs of a huge underperformance. So I think that's also aiding could probably aid the prospects of the Bank Nifty going forward as well.
Okay. M&M, that's your top leader today. So let's hear out. My colleague Sumit Chaturvedi is currently in conversation with the Mahindra Group MD's MD, that's Anisha. Let's listen in as to what he has to say.
There today, how India and New Zealand are planning to extend the ties.
It was a very warm meeting across all the CEOs from both India and New Zealand today, and that really complements the efforts being done by the government to enhance trade ties. The potential is enormous, and it was very good to see us being able to identify specific actions that can help us deliver that potential.
And FTA, 60 days, do you think it's a possibility? FTA, a lot of things can common between India and New Zealand.
We have a very dynamic Minister of Trade and Commerce, and he's done some remarkable things. So I should always keep faith in that.
And your company is in big way present in New Zealand. So you think India and New Zealand have great future when it comes to the trade ties, a lot of common things there?
I believe there is a very good future, because there was a very strong set of relationships that we have as well. And Mahindra, of course, has a presence in New Zealand, both from an IT services standpoint and from an auto standpoint. So we look forward to doing a lot more with New Zealand.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we will cut across to that Piyush Goyal interaction as well, perhaps in just a bit from now. But that was Anisha from M&M talking to my colleague exclusively. And M&M clearly is your leader today, holding up just so smartly in trade. We've got Vinay Rajani too joining in the show right now. Vinay, good strength for a second consecutive day. What are the levels now that you're monitoring on the index?
Yeah, good afternoon and thanks for having me on the show. So definitely it is a very good session. After a long time, we have seen breadth improving in a significant way, and whatever consolidation which was there for last 5-6 trading session, it has been taken out. The previous swing high, which was at 22,676, that has also been taken out. So that was nothing but the 20 days exponential moving average. And if I were to look at the present 20 days EMA, today's low is exactly to 20 days EMA. So that means the previous resistance is now a support for the Nifty, and it looks like that the way markets are performing today, the global setup is quite strong. It is there is a high chance that Nifty will reach to the next target of 23,200, which happens to be the downward sloping trend line on the weekly chart. So I feel this is a good breakout after a long time. Breadth was quite oversold. Many indicators, oscillators turned oversold, but the only thing which was missing in this market was the sentiment. And now after getting above the 23,700, we have got that confidence technically also. So the next immediate target for the Nifty is seen at 23,200. As far as support is concerned, I would keep a stop loss at 22,500. And yes, scenario is quite bullish. 23,200 is next target.
Right, so that's the take coming in on markets. Deven, let me come to you and get your take coming in on the defensive plays. You have the IT sector and the pharma sector. Both of them have a lot of significant exposure to the United States. Both of them actually moving divergently at this point in time. What's your take? If you have to place your bet on the IT sector or the pharma sector, which one would it be and why?
So in the near term, I think the bounce back is due for both, and maybe I think the higher preference will go towards pharma, because obvious it is that the way in which India supplies to the US market, the generics and the specialty generics in particular, I think they both have an equal amount of, I think, the acceptance in this particular market. So from a perspective of looking at, I think, the tariff related issue, this is not going to move the needle any which way, because I think the pharma is a basic necessity which is required in the society in USA. So to that extent, I think I feel distinctly confident that neither the price is going to change nor the duty structure is going to change beyond a point, and nor I think they can afford to stop the import of those medicines. So all in all put together, I think the subject which has started in the name of duty tariff structure, in my viewpoint, I think it is going to gradually get narrowed down in a due course of time. So should that happen, maybe the first choice should be with the pharma, and the second choice would be with IT. Also because of the fact that Indian IT services is requirement as far as I think the solutions are concerned for any economy for that matter, and I think US in particular. So certainly, I think the kind of a short position that we are experiencing in the market in the near term, it holds the possibility of short-term led rally or the upside into some of these stocks.
The take coming in on some of those sectors. In the meantime, today's stars, of course, are some of these new age names, a Policy Bazaar, Zomato, Paytm. These are all stocks which are holding out. Vinay, how are they looking on charts? A Policy Bazaar, Zomato, or a Paytm? Can you identify any trade at these levels?
Yeah, so Policy Bazaar is showing some strength, and today it is up by more than 7%. But the heavy correction we have already seen in this stock, and some sort of positive divergence I can see observe on the daily chart of oscillator. So yes, there is a good chance that along with the market, this kind of stocks can also witness some short covering rally. The next immediate resistance for the stock comes in around 1590, which is a positional target we can consider, because it's a quite strong setup on the charts, and positive divergence is there. So yes, one can trade long in the Policy Bazaar, which is looking very strong. The next target comes in around 1590.
Let's move on then to an Each exclusive story. We are picking up from sources that businessman Ravi Deol may be leading a consortium of investors to buy whiskey brand Imperial Blue from the liquor major Pernod Ricard. Additionally, we also understand that the transaction will take place via Deol's in-brew beverages. Let me go across to my colleague Anurag Joshi for more on that. Anurag, over to you.
Inbrew Beverages, controlled by businessman Ravi Deol, is in talks with investors to set up a consortium to buy Imperial Blue, which is currently owned by Pernod Ricard, the French liquor giant. Pernod Ricard, that owns Imperial Blue, it has been seeking to find buyers for the brand, and Inbrew is said to have approached some private equity firms to partner with it for the proposed buyout of Imperial Blue. Inbrew is seeking to raise at least $200 million from the co-investors investor, which is likely to be a private equity firm in the deal. And the remaining amount, and this is at a valuation of $300 to $400 million for Imperial Blue, that Inbrew is proposing to pay. The remaining amount will be through bank financing. Now, Imperial Blue is among the top five biggest whiskey brands in the country, and Inbrew is led by Ravi Deol, and Ravi Deol was the first CEO barista when the coffee chain was set up in 2000, and he controls and Inbrew Beverages is owned by Inbrew Holdings Pte, which is Singapore based, and again that's controlled by an investment vehicle of Ravi Deol called Ahead Global Holdings.
All right, thank you so much for that, Anurag, for getting us those updates. But let's take a look at the markets, because you have Nifty that has reclaimed that 22,800 mark, and I believe, Kunal, for the first time in about a month?
Yeah, I think almost like a month.
Almost a month.
21st of Feb is where we were sub the 22,800 mark.
What's your outlook for the broader markets then? Because we are seeing a good steady recovery, at least stabilization when you talk about the benchmark indices. Nifty Bank also leading from the front. What about SMID? They are seeing good, strong moves, but is it sustainable?
Yeah, it should be sustainable. So I think as now the confidence brews into the market, there are bound to be points where mid caps and small caps would eventually make a comeback. But they are not the first ones which generally try to move up higher. So even if you look at the relative performance, both in terms of the price, absolute price levels for the mid cap index and the Nifty small cap index, these indices over the last 1 month, I think have been consecutively making lower lows for themselves. The only good part about the last 4-5 days was that the market breadth had started to improve. So, we were at a point where out of the 2000 plus stocks on the NSE, there was a point when the risk about, or the advance decline ratio was skewed extremely in favor of declines. There was a point where I think 1:3, 1:5 was the average advance decline ratio for the last many days over the last couple of months. That's start to improve. So when market breadth starts to improve, that's the first sign that the markets are nearing a short-term bottom. But as I said, the bottom initially starts off with large cap stocks outperforming. There are a few sectors which tends to outperform, and once confidence comes back again, that's where mid caps and small caps would start to outperform. So I believe that potentially if we scale past about the 23,000 mark, the sentiment would start to become a lot more positive, and there, even if the indices stagnate for a couple of days, there I believe that the mid caps and small caps would stand to outperform significantly.
Right. Deven, in this recovery in the markets, other than banks, what do you think will do well and what do you think will continue to lag?
It's a time to buy the value. Frankly, the price correction in some of the stock has been so significant that I think the market almost forgot the kind of value at which I think they sold those shares off. So in my viewpoint, I think some of the companies which are in the, say, for example, NBFC space, which are in housing finance space, companies which are in manufacturing space where probably they are supplying to the segment like renewables and power utilities, or for that matter, I think the companies which are in engineering R&D space, where they have significantly large amount of business to execute in the given situation. They all look, I think, some of the brilliant propositions sitting in the corrective downside. So maybe I think one will have to look at those values and the corrections in the price to buy them, and not for 3-6 months, but I think consider the opportunity available to you for 2 to 3 years from current levels.
All right, then that's the take coming on the space. Thank you so much, Deven, for joining us on the show and sharing your views on the markets. But Kunal, coming to you, what's your closing trade?
So I think in terms of closing trade, I would look at ICICI Bank as another interesting name. We were discussing this in the morning also, that the stock is due for a good price up move. Finally, it's start to show signs of that breakout, crossed about the 1300 levels today. Looks very attractive even at current levels.
Right, that is ICICI Bank for Kunal. Then Vinay, what about you?
Yeah, so I'm bullish on NLC India, which is looking very strong to me. So Navili Lignite is the code. It has just surpassed the previous swing high and the 200 days moving average resistance also. Stock is looking very strong, currently placed at 239. The next target for the stocks, I think positionally should be 252, and the stop loss should be kept at around 230 odd levels. So I'm bullish on NLC India from this level. The another stock which I like is the NTPC. So NTPC, which is trading around 337, can be considered going long. So NTPC 337 is the level. 330 should be the stop loss. On the upside, I'm expecting a target of 350. So NTPC is the second pick from my side.